Yo, what up, y'all? This your man Cross, a.k.a. Mr. Dean. You're listening to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio. Hey, listen, I got a special segment for you guys today. It's going to get deep. It's going to be interesting. Might get a little ugly. Might turn pleasant. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you one thing. You're going to get well informed, and you're going to get an opportunity to see exactly what it is that we do at the Man Up Club. First, let me tell you about the Man Up Club. Then I'm going to introduce you to my guests. Man Up Club is a mentor leadership organization for African-American males between the ages of 13 and 24. We mentor in 4 distinct areas when it comes to the Man Up Club, which is life skills, social skills, academic discipline, and then civic responsibility. 3 main goals, which is to get young men to graduate from high school, keep them out of the prison pipeline. I'm going to say that again. Keep them out of the prison pipeline. Get them to go on to college or to have a trade after high school. Located in Twin Cities of Minneapolis, Minnesota, downtown Minneapolis. We just opened our clubhouse in November, so we almost a year into it. Got young men coming in every day. We open 6 days a week from 3 p.m. after school until 8 p.m. and then on Saturday from 12 noon until 8 p.m. Some of these programs that we got is we have a music production program where young men can learn how to produce music, write music, songwriting, the music business. Also a cooking culinary arts program, a fitness program, as well as a construction program, which is a paid construction program. We also have other programs where we do, for example, it's for lack of a better term, permission to grieve, where if a young man has had someone close to them who've died, we help them through the grieving process. We also have a suit up program where we provide suits to young men and pants and shirts and all sorts of things like that. We take a lot of field trips. We do a lot of stuff, but the main thing that we do at the Man Up Club, which is our core, is the mentorship piece, which is one-on-one mentoring as well as group mentoring. So we have so many young men who are in our program. We're in the process of developing and expanding our mentorship program nationwide. Of course, we're starting, with this program, and that's why you're hearing my voice, in your city on XM Radio and Holy Culture. But our next step is to do online mentoring where you can tap in online and register around the country as a Man Up member, and then you can get mentored, online by me personally. So if you want to learn more about that, hit us up at themanupclub.org. Once again, that's themanupclub.org, or go to our Instagram, which is themanupclub.mn. Now, I got a young man who I've been mentoring for a minute. His name is DJ, and he is a fine young man based out of St. Paul, Minnesota, 24 years old. I'm gonna let him talk to you guys about some of the things that he's been into and what he does and who he is and what his goals are and where he's going. And one of the things that we're going to do in this special episode is we're going to give you an inside look at the dialogue, the conversation, how it transpires. And I'm going to mentor him live on air. So we're going to dig into his life. He's already given us permission to do so. We're going to try to be as transparent as possible for you, the listener out there, because what the Man Up Club stands for is our program gives a voice to young black males in America. You hear a lot of voices out there, a lot of people speaking for young black males or what have you, or misrepresenting young black males. But where do you get an opportunity to hear from young black males themselves in regards to how they view life, what their perspective is, what they're going through, and how they think? So that's an opportunity that we're getting ready to give you. So what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, Mr. D? How you living, man?
I'm good. I already went through my surgeries. I'm on my recovery. Got a doctor's appointment today. I'm hoping they're going to release me to be full swing and get back in the gym so I can shoot my son's lights out and get back in the gym and get in tip-top shape and just start doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes, sir. And Mr. D, I'm 25 now, man.
Oh, that's
I'm an adult.
That's right.
I am an adult as of April 7th. I am no longer 24. I've been.
Most of y'all think y'all an adult when you turn 18.
Yeah, I learned that 18 was just a benchmark.
Okay.
Just a benchmark. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So how you living right now? Your story's kind of interesting, man.
Yeah.
And I'm a mentor you, here right now live on the air. And, just kind of tell people just really quickly, let's just start with how you grew up.
All right, cool. So I grew up, for me, it was normal. And I think we talked about it in one of the past segments where it was just like, I absorbed a lot of the environment around me. I went to school like a normal kid. That was pretty normal. I actually was in identified as gifted and talented in elementary. So I was a smart kid with a lot of potential. I started playing basketball late. I actually started playing in high school. So freshman year, I started playing basketball. Found out I was good at that. Started getting in trouble, I think, around elementary year, like second grade. I think was my first time getting called home for fighting, and then it just kept going from there. Like I was like, all right, cool, I could fight too. So I just kind of got into the swing of, I don't know, pushing away authority. I didn't like authority as much as a kid. Getting told what to do, stuff like that. It was, my childhood wasn't really stable. So I had lived a little bit of everywhere from here, actually where we're at in Roseville right now, to St. Paul, to Minneapolis, to out of the state. I actually stayed in Philadelphia 2nd through 4th, 5th grade, and then came back to Minnesota my 6th grade year. So due to that, I really didn't get into a lot of like sports. I didn't get into a lot of community activities. If you ever been to Philadelphia, it's really tight knit. It's real small. So my family really was my community. That makes sense.
I love it. So you had a sense of belonging, sense of family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You grew up in some, challenging, circumstances or what have you.
Yeah.
So talk to me about some of the challenges you faced as a kid.
I mean, not being able to control where you at sometimes, So when we first moved back from Philadelphia, we had to move into the shelter. And if you ever stayed in the shelter anywhere, it's not always the best place to be. And as a kid, I didn't like it. I didn't understand it. I didn't know why we didn't have no house. I was bougie at a young age, Mr. Dean. I wanted a nice car, all types of stuff. Way before I could drive, I wanted a Escalade truck or one of them Avalanches with the little, yeah. So I mean, I didn't really get it, like, as far as money or like circumstance until I got older. And I got my first job, and then I was like, yeah, money don't count the same when you start getting it. So yeah, I definitely was humbled many times in my childhood, but didn't really understand what that meant at the time.
And then when you say humble, tell me exactly what you mean when you say humble.
So there's a pivotal point of life where you see people with nice stuff, right? But you don't really understand how they got it, but you want it, So once I figured out how to get the nice stuff, I understood how many sacrifices came with having nice stuff and then maintaining nice stuff. Like when my parents bought me shoes, I didn't really care to go run through the mud in them, Like my dad used to tell me all the time, like, if I get some white ones, clean my laces. He taught me how to wipe my shoes down, everything. But it wasn't until I started buying my own shoes that I actually started cleaning them. It was real challenges right there. I had to learn how to maintain nice things because I couldn't get them all the time.
Okay. And tell me about the men in your life.
Oh man, shout out my cousins. I grew up like a middle child. So all my cousins and like family members were either older than me or younger than me. So I was never really at the kid table, but I was never really at the adult table neither.
You had a kid table?
Yeah, we had a kid table. What? We had one of those little, what was it? It was Lightning McQueen with the little chairs around it. We had a kid table for sure. It was a lot of kids. A lot of people in my family had kids around the same time. And I'm my mom's only boy, and her youngest. So I always had the responsibilities of the man of the house. Like I had to take the garbage out. If it was a bug, I had to kill it. My mom didn't like rodents at all. So anything like that, I had to just, and I was scared too. I ain't gonna lie. When I was a kid, certain things used to scare me. And if you ever seen the bugs like New York or like the roaches and rats New York, like the same thing in Philly. Like some of them animals shouldn't be there. But my mom couldn't handle it. So, and my sisters, if y'all know my sisters couldn't handle it neither. So I had to man up and just take it on the chin. A lot of times go fight them pests off, and yeah.
So the men in your life, like would you consider them to be a positive or a negative influence in your life?
Positive. A lot of times they told me be better than them. Like I wanted to be like my dad growing up wholeheartedly. Like my dad was my role model. He got up, he went to work, came home, handled business, held the family together. Like he was the one who just called people randomly to check in on them. Like he don't want nothing from you. He don't want to ask you for no money or just anything. He just want to know that you okay. And he kind of installed that in me where it's like I'll go and check on my people now because I watched him do it so much. So, I mean, like I said, we grew up in a circumstance where like doing negative stuff to get a positive result was okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I hope y'all caught that, doing negative stuff to get a positive result. But what you're saying basically at the end of the day is that the end goal is to do something positive.
Yeah, end goal always to be better than what you is. That's really what my family pushed upon me was like, hey, I see you getting A's in school now, but can you keep getting A's in a different setting? Can you keep pushing yourself to do better? And they challenged me my whole life. I wouldn't even be as competitive as I am now, and if it wasn't for them, for real.
Okay, but you did have your father in your life.
Yeah, my dad was in my life, in and out. My dad was a truck driver too, so due to my mom and my dad not being together, sometimes my dad wasn't always like there because my mom, if that makes sense. So if my mom and my dad get into an argument, then 9 times out of 10 I'm going with my mom. And that's how it was when I was younger. So when I moved to Philadelphia, it was with my mom. My dad came to visit me. Like he drove his semi truck 18 hours to come and see me. Like that was the extent of me seeing my dad through those years. But
so so your dad had a positive impact in your life. When you grew up, were there any men in your life who had a negative influence or a negative impact on you?
For sure. I mean, like I said, I absorbed a lot. Like I watched people fight and argue. Domestics were normal and outside. Like you just
hold on, time out. You said domestics were normal.
Yeah, like so, people fighting.
Wait. Okay, so you talking about domestic violence?
Yeah,
was normal.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, my mom didn't deal with none of that though. Like, we'll jump somebody, but but look, we go say that because I know we push in a minute. Just I'm gonna leave it here.
No, it's cool.
It's normal for people to be mad where I'm from.
Okay.
And they normalized being mad and justified them being mad and then used drugs and alcohol and blamed the drugs and alcohol. So I honestly started doing the same thing, being chemically dependent in those situations. So
okay, back. We're gonna jump into it. We're gonna take a quick break and we're gonna pop back in with my man DJ Ye. You're listening to Cross, aka Mr. Dean, on the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio. Listen, when we jump back in this next segment, we're gonna go a little bit deeper. I'm telling you right now, I'm getting ready to dig at your boy. So stay tuned and stay locked in. Yo, what up? It's your man, Mr. Dean, aka Cross. When we back at it, you're listening to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio on XM Radio channel 154, and this is what we do here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hey, listen, I got my man DJ, young man that I'm mentoring who's 25 years old, and we're going to jump right into it. We was talking about him and how he grew up and some of his situations and circumstances. We were talking about the men in his life. Now, DJ said that he grew up with his father in his life, and that, and when his mom and dad had issues and situations and circumstances that they had to deal with, and they had conflict, he would often go with his mom, and then his father, would drive to see him. But he said that his dad had a positive impact on his life, and sometime as a young man growing up, that he had to do negative things in order to have a positive outcome. Yeah. Then the question became, were there other men in his life that had a negative impact or negative influence on him? So let's just pick up where you left off with that.
Yeah, I mean, chemical dependency is a really big word to know as a kid. It's not one of those things that you just, what it is. Like you don't recognize people being chemically dependent at a young age. It wasn't until I got older that I recognized like a lot of the people in my community were really just dependent on some type of drug or alcohol to really balance themselves out. And it came from a conversation with my dad, actually. I asked my dad why he smoked weed. And he told me if he didn't, then somebody would get hurt. And I said, you got to explain that to me because I don't smoke. And I dealt with anger as a kid, right? So when he told me this, at first, my first reaction was maybe I should smoke. I'm mad most of the time. Like I go to school, I had a problem with authority. There was a point in time where they said I just didn't like females, like female authority. So I got into it with my female teachers and all types of stuff. And then I had to explain to them, like, I grew up with all sisters. My mom is in my house all the time yelling at me. So I didn't really know how to react to a lot of the things that they labeled me as a kid. So when they was like I was an angry kid, I wasn't even angry most of the time. I was probably annoyed just with the questions or the way that they approached me sometimes, or because there was a bar set. So when I went and talked to my dad about it, he was like, oh yeah, that's why I smoke, because I don't like dealing with people. Like that's how he explained it to me. He was like, I smoke weed, I don't drink. Drinking is bad. You got a lot of people in your family that drink, so then they could avoid their problems. I smoke to calm down. So when he explained that to me, it didn't really make sense at first. Like, I didn't really see it until I started looking for it. So then I started paying attention to my cousins. I started paying attention to my mom and my family members first. And then I started seeing it more and more in the community. Like those paper bags, you know, everybody walk around with the paper bags when they got alcohol. I started looking for those. Like, I started seeing who was drinking at a young age. I was probably in like 6th grade. And then by the time I was 11 years old, I had picked up my first joint. I think I stole one of my cousins.
At 11?
Yeah, I stole one of my cousin roaches. And I had smoked the roaches. The roach is the last little part of the joint. I had tried to smoke it and I coughed so hard. Like, it didn't feel good, so I just didn't want to do it no more. And then I went to school and I was trying to be a cool kid, so I told my friends, like, yeah, I just smoke, I'm high, you know, like, and they was like, cool, like, teach us how to do it too. Like, they started lying about smoking, or like they started talking about their parents smoking and how they could go just smoke with their mom. And I actually went up to my mom one day and asked her, I was like 12, I was like, can I smoke with you? And she smacked me and was like, no, like, no, you can't smoke with me. You not even old enough. You finna stunt your growth. Your brain cells gonna be dead. You not gonna learn nothing. Like, she tried to scare me out of smoking, but due to the conversation with my dad, I was like, I'm gonna just be happy all the time if I smoke. I already had justification for doing the things that I was doing because of one conversation.
All right, so I was going to ask you the question based on the information that you got. Who did you believe? Did you believe what your mama said, or did you believe what your daddy said?
I mean, survey said that I had to figure it out. I was one of those kids too. If you told me that the stove was hot, I had to touch it first.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just a hell of a position to be in, because you got your dad saying, you know, I don't like people, or people piss me off, and I smoke to be cool and calm and to be able to deal with people or whatever. But then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you got your mom saying, you know, you don't need to smoke, and you don't need to do it for all of these reasons.
Right.
So now you got two parents, and now you got to pick which one you gonna listen to, and what advice you gonna take. So what did you lean toward? What decision did you make?
It depended on which parent I was with. Now, my mom smoked too, but she was real secretive about when she smoked and how she smoked. So, like, my mom didn't smoke right in front of me. Okay. Like, my whole childhood. Like, she always kicked us out the room, went somewhere else, went and smoked in the car. Like, she never smoked in front of us, like, my whole childhood. Mm-hmm. So, even when her friends came around and they tried to smoke, she would tell me to get out the way. Now, my cousins, like I said, I was a middle child. I wasn't at the kid table, but I wasn't at the adult table. But my cousin be like, go grab me that. Like, go grab me something to smoke out of. Like, go downstairs, go in the car and grab that pack of weed and come back upstairs. Like, so they exposed me more to it because they didn't see the harm in it at the time.
Okay, so then let me paint the picture then. So now your father saying smoke because of these reasons, your mom saying don't smoke because of these reasons, and then your mom slap you.
Yep.
And in black culture, you know, we downplay that.
Yeah.
But slapping any kid, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, that it's still some level of violence.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though it's been normalized in the black community.
Yeah.
You feel me? So I want to break these things down because we got to look at them. But then even in addition to that, it's your cousins or whatever. So now they smoking.
Yeah.
So then you got 3 levels of influence that's actually you got 3 levels of influence that's smoking. So you got your dad smoking, and he's open and transparent about it. You got your mom smoking too.
Yeah.
But she's more discreet and secretive about it.
Definitely.
Because she don't want you to follow in the same footsteps, but she looks at it from a negative perspective, whereas your dad looks at it from a positive perspective. Yeah. And then you got your cousins and what have you, which are your peers on the same level as you.
Yeah.
And they looking at it as a cool thing. So number one, the question becomes, I think you already said you did smoke. Do you currently smoke today?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, now, why do you smoke? What's your reasoning for why you smoke?
It changed a little bit. It was almost like drinking. It was a social thing at first. Everybody that I was around smoked, so I was smoking. And then it became a survival thing where I was selling. So I had to I was testing my weed on me. Like, if I liked it, then cool. If I didn't, cool. But that was the survival side. Like, I started selling when I was like 14. Not even. I was like 13. So 2 years after I started smoking, I started dabbling and selling because I watched my cousins do it. And you talk about access to stuff that can get you in trouble. I had full access to everything I needed to get in trouble or to get high, or and then I had space to do it too because my mom and my dad wasn't together. There was a point where DJ was just outside. Like I didn't want to deal with my mom. I didn't want to hear my dad most of the time because my dad, he didn't tell me to smoke. It was more like, if you gonna smoke, don't be dumb. Like that was my dad perspective on everything. He was like, if you gonna do anything, do it the smart way. Like even if you doing bad, like he'll talk to my cousins like that. Like even if you messing up, you going to jail, you doing whatever, just be ready for the consequences of whatever you're doing.
Okay, I'm gonna challenge you a little bit because I'm hearing something that I just want to speak to. So you, first of all, when you're selling drugs or any kind of dope, you don't get high off your own supply.
Yeah, I know that at first. Yeah,
okay, because
I ain't know that.
Yeah, and then you got your dad saying don't be dumb. But the thing is, when I'm listening to it, it's like, okay, but if you smoking your own stuff and then you don't, and let's be 100 about it because you don't even know what's in weed.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know what's in weed. This is my issue with weed.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I really wouldn't have an issue with people smoking weed if it's just straight marijuana.
Yeah,
there's cannabis, that naturally grow from the ground. Like we always had this conversation. I always had this conversation with my man up guys or what have you or whatever. You feel me? It grows naturally. But the question really becomes, and this is how I put it to him. It's like, okay, if you're gonna smoke weed, who's let's just call it a garden. Whose garden are you going to get it? You feel me? If you're gonna eat greens, if you're gonna eat cabbage, you feel me, or tomatoes or whatever. We're just talking about from the perspective of this stuff growing naturally and it's coming from the earth or from God or whatever. Because that's what the conversation and the defense is a lot of times. Is that weed is grown from the earth, is natural, it's a plant, this, that, and the other. Okay, cool, fair enough. Whose garden you going to get it? And that's the real question because most people are not. And at the end of the day, what happens is, once you get marijuana, is mixed with so many different toxins and cut with so much stuff and you ain't there when the person is putting it all together. So you don't even really know. So a lot of times, and I'm talking about like right now, like 9 times out of 10, a lot of the young kids don't even know what they smoking.
Yep.
And you feel me? And then we wondering why we got so many mental health issues and all these other things. And from my argument is that that's just one factor.
Yeah.
That contributes to it. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you testing your own stuff, you putting yourself in danger.
For sure. And it was a dangerous time to do that. You remember the K2 stuff? Yeah. So in between that and fake weed. So if you go to the smoke shop, 9 times out of 10, they got what we call tree of hope.
Not the tree of hope.
You hope that is real weed, but you know it's not.
Wow.
Okay, so then they had K2. So K2 really mess you up. Like you hit the blunt twice, you're dumb. Like immediately. Like brain cells, rational sense, gone. Nothing matter no more. You turn into a little zombie. And I watched so many of my friends try to get real weed and got K2. And I was blessed with the fact that my family knew the difference. Okay, if my dad thought that I was doing something else, he would come and stop me. My cousin see something that just don't look right, they DJ, this not it. Like throw this away. Like this not. So the guidance while doing, like I said, they do the wrong stuff, but try to be positive. The guidance was there. They didn't let me smoke K2. They didn't let me do a lot of stuff. And because when my dad found out I started smoking, he was real interested in that question. Where am I getting it from?
So when I'm hearing you so far, when it comes to you smoking, I'm only hearing the reasons that you smoke are based on negativity.
Yeah, because
I'm talking about starting as a kid.
Yeah, I was mad. That was really I was like, the first time I got high, I just couldn't stop laughing. That's how my dad knew I was high. Okay. It wasn't, I don't even look, and it's crazy because when I smoke, I don't even look high. Like if you look at me, you wouldn't be able to really tell that I'm high until I start talking. Okay. So as a kid, the only way my mom knew if I was high was if I either smelled like weed, which was hard because my dad smoked, my cousin smoked, so I could get in the car and smell like weed and you wouldn't know. I probably didn't even smoke. I was just around it. So she couldn't tell for real. My dad, he knew when I was smoking. Like he could tell out the back, out the blue. And like I said, I didn't really look high. I learned how to use eye drops and all types of stuff at a young age too.
Yeah, basically, okay, to camouflage all of it.
Yeah, because I still had to go to school. I was still a kid, so.
Okay. We're going to jump into it. We're going a little bit deeper. I mean, we're going to come back to you in a minute. And we're going to go deeper as to, number one, how you think you personally have marijuana affects you. And then I want to get into, where you at right now in your life and some of the decisions you made, some of the challenges that you're facing, because you're facing some big challenges right now. And I want to talk with you on how to navigate through that process and see if we can get you to a better outcome or not. Because, at the end of the day, you can't really help everybody.
You could lead a horse to water.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. Yo, it's your man, Mr. Dean, a.k.a. Cross, and you listen to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio on XM, channel 154. Tap in with us. Yo, what up? I'm back at you. It's your man, Cross, a.k.a. Mr. Dean. You listen to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio. I'm here with my man, DJ, one of the young men that I be mentoring. DJ is one of them dudes that be outside. You know what I'm saying? He's got an interesting story. Just a lot to talk about right now. We done tapped into his childhood. Now he talked about chemical dependency. One of the things that he said he chemically depended on and that his dad was on, and that his mom was on, that his cousin was on, was weed. He's still smoking weed today. I challenged him in a couple of different areas in regards to that. But what I want to do is I'm just trying to break down the history before we get into currently where we're at. I think that one of the things that we always have to understand is where we came from. And I think you got to understand where you came from in order to understand where you're going. I think you have to have some type of foundation in regards to where you've been in order to determine where you're going. Because if you don't know, then you really can't do the research or get the historical perspective as to why you make the decisions that you made, who influenced you, or what have you, or where you're going today. And now you're a grown man, you're a father, you got your own kids, and right now you're saying that, obviously you're saying parents are hypocrites, and there's things that you do that naturally you don't want your kids to do, and of course you see the value of that. So, when we talk about, you smoking or what have you, and then, you said that you made the mistake of testing your own product, but you didn't know that.
I didn't know I wasn't supposed to smoke what I was selling. Yeah.
All right. So your summation is smoking for you has been a good experience or a bad experience for you personally?
So there's a positive and negative side to everything in life, and smoking is no exception. So on the positive side of me smoking, when I first started, I was dumb. I was dumb when it came to smoking. So I didn't really care as much. Like I wasn't as picky, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because I'm bougier now and I know better now, smoking is more of a it's like wine tasting. I know what I like. I know what I don't like.
Wine tasting is bougie.
Wine tasting.
I don't see nothing that's bougie about you right now. But
I'm just saying. Smoking is like wine tasting now. You know?
You.
Yeah. It's like I don't really need it, but every once in a while I crave it because of the taste. And I don't know if it's really the tobacco. I don't know if it's but every once in a while I need to smoke. Like I need to. Okay. And I don't think it's a bad thing. Like honestly, I don't think weed is the problem.
Okay, cool.
That's like me talking about guns. I don't think guns is the problem. Okay? I think the people who don't educate us are the ones who are hurting us the most. So
Did you get educated?
Yeah. Yep. I went and talked to my plugs. Yep.
Your plugs?
Yep, the plugs.
Okay.
Shout out the plugs.
All right. I ain't asking for names, but I want you to identify your plugs.
So when I first ever saw somebody get put in handcuffs, like ever in my life, it was because they was hustling. Right? Yep. So you talk about justifying stuff. I justified it for him. I was like, he's not even doing nothing wrong. He's surviving. Every single time I see him going towards his kids or his baby mom come up, he giving her money, he living, he buying everybody food on the block. He used to buy me stuff out the store. So when he got locked up the first time and came back, like he bailed out the next day, I was like, what's going on? Like, talk to me. Like, I want to know why they just locked you up. So he broke it down for me. He sat me down and was like, look, this is what I do. This is what I got to live with. And it was the same stuff my dad was telling me, like, if you going to do it, this is what it come with. But it wasn't until I saw it in full effect that I really was like, oh, okay, some people is really out here like that. Like, they really living to that extent. And I thought at one point, like, a couple grams was a lot of weed until I saw more. Like, until I sat down and it was like duffel bags and it was like, yeah, this is this. I ain't think that much weed was nowhere.
One of the things you said earlier, bros, you said that you had a lot of access to get in trouble. What did you mean by having a lot of access to get in trouble?
I'm a likable kid, you know, so I get adopted a lot. I got adopted by a lot of people that looked at me as family. You know, they trusted me to really just talk to me. Just like that situation where it's like, bro got in trouble and he really don't want me to get in trouble, so now he gonna break it down for me. He gonna explain to me how he got in trouble, what he did to get in trouble, and he's gonna bring me into a circle. And I took that for granted a lot of times as a kid, where it was like people bringing me into their inner circle and sharing those secrets with me, you know? So when I was young, I think I was like 13, 14 years old. That was the first time I ran into my first like plug, I guess. Mm-hmm. You know, and he was real cool, like real cool dude, to the point where I introduced him to my dad. Like it was like and my dad was like, hey, I'm trusting you to not send my son off, you know? Like, so it was never like a bad thing for me, because around that same time I started learning about guns too. So middle school, I started learning about guns and drugs. Like that was my thing. I wasn't even into girls for real. Like I saw girls, I understood what they was there for, but I didn't really care for them as much as I did in high school. Like 9th grade year, I was like, oh, I'm getting some money so then I could look good for the females. Freshman year, or actually middle school, I didn't care about no females. I was more into me having fun, and smoking was fun. Mm-hmm. You know,
at a young age, you saying several things. So you saying at a young age you was introduced to marijuana, you was exposed to other drugs.
Yeah.
When you was younger, you got introduced to guns.
Yeah.
You feel me? When you were younger, you got introduced to men going to prison.
Yeah.
So do you consider those experiences to just be real life situations that you got exposed to, or do you consider those to be negative influences in your life?
So I just recently went to jail. Right?
I know you did. We gonna get to that.
I know. So
trust me when I
just recently went to jail, and I saw some people that I grew up with, right? Mm-hmm. And they looked at me like, DJ, you're not supposed to be in jail because you're doing positive stuff. And I'm like, I know, but I did so much negative that this is just my karma. You know, like I got to deal with everything that I did and am doing as an adult still. And the stuff I did as a kid, it still come back full circle. So like, in order for me to end it where I'm at, like, I still kind of deal with some of the stuff my dad had to go through, you know? So I took on his reputation the same way my kids can take on my reputation.
Why you take on his reputation? First of all, was his reputation good or bad?
Good.
Okay.
Good, but across the board, like I said, whether you was doing good or bad, my dad loved you.
Okay.
So it's the same thing with me. Whether you doing good or bad, whether you hustling or going to church, like I don't look at you no different. Mm-hmm. I look at you as the person you are. If you a genuine person and you really doing stuff genuinely, then I'm not gonna get mad at you. I understand circumstance more than a lot of people.
Okay, and that's fair enough. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I find that interesting. So you would consider yourself to basically be a positive, upstanding person.
Yeah.
Who's made mistakes in the past.
For sure.
And so what you're saying is basically the mistakes that you made in the past are catching up with you.
Yeah.
Which is what you call karma.
Yeah. It's not necessarily catching up with me. I think I held on to what I'm comfortable with. So it's like
speak on that.
So it's like it's not like I did something 3 years ago and it just came back.
Okay.
You know, no, this is a lifestyle that we've been living my whole life. Like this is what I'm used to. So me going to where I was, I understand the risk. I know that police be watching. I don't watch people get indicted. To your point, I don't watch people go to jail, but I'll still go back there to go check on my people. That's just, it's installed in me to go and make sure my people are okay, whether we're on good terms or bad terms.
Okay.
So because of that, it's not even really karma. It's just not being able to let things go as much, you know?
Okay, so do you consider those gains or losses?
Losses.
Okay. Have you ever heard the term cut your losses?
Yep.
How you feel about that? Hell of a term I just used.
Yeah, cut your losses.
Something that I think, I mean, of course, everybody needs to be able to exercise that, but if I'm keeping it a buck, I think that's something that young black males definitely need to learn how to do.
In order for me to cut my losses, I gotta feel like I got something to lose.
Key term is feel.
Yeah, I gotta feel like I got something to lose.
Feeling is temporary.
Yeah, and
they change.
In those situations where I want to feel comfortable or I need the smoke, like in those situations, I don't even consider the things that I have to lose. It's not that I don't have nothing to lose. I have a lot to lose. But in those moments, I'm not even thinking past where I'm at then and there.
Why? because that now we tapping in, because why are you not forward thinking? Why are you not thinking? Because you're a father now.
Yeah.
So why are you not forward thinking, like, yo, I gotta consider, basically a scenario. We call it scenario planning in youth work. Why are you not scenario planning? Why are you not planning out scenarios in multiple ways so that you can have some kind of path charted for you before you actually arrive at the moment that you got to make a knee-jerk reaction? Because when you get to that moment, if it's based on feeling, you don't know what kind of decision you're going to make. And a lot of times you end up making the wrong decision.
Yeah. And it's, can I live with that decision? That's the question that I'll be asking myself. Can I live with this decision that I'm finna make? And a lot of times it's like, yeah, because my worst case scenario is somebody's best. And I accepted that a long time ago.
Wait a minute, though. Say that again.
My worst case scenario is somebody's best.
And you're using
case
that as
scenario.
and you're using that as the rationale as to how you
in
move
that
and shake,
60 seconds, yeah.
Because first of all, that's always looking at the glass half empty as opposed to the glass full. And that's also looking at it from a pessimistic perspective as opposed to an optimistic perspective. And that's always looking at it from you basically laying on your back and looking up as opposed to you being up and looking down.
Yeah.
So it's always coming, when you describe that, it's always coming from a negative perspective.
Yep.
So why?
I don't know. So look, if you saw
Not
somebody,
just, I don't know.
No,
You're going to try to ease to the next one, whatever.
If you saw somebody hanging on the cliff, right?
Yep.
And you had to go hang on the cliff with them to help them get off the cliff, would you go hang on the cliff?
Say it again.
If you saw somebody hanging on the cliff, right?
Yep.
And you know they finna fall, right?
Yep.
Would you, and the only way to save them is to go hang on the cliff and reach down and get them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you go hang on the cliff?
I have to assess how that's going to impact me personally first.
See, and I don't think that far. I'm like, let me go help my homie. Like in that moment, that's why I go back to the hood, because it's like, I know it's a cliff. I know I can fall with them. But in my head, I justify it because loyalty is one of my biggest flaws.
It's your biggest flaw.
One of my biggest flaws.
I'm big on loyalty. Loyalty is everything to me. I'd rather you have loyalty to me than to love me, because I understand the implications of loyalty. You say it's a flaw. And I can understand why you're saying it, but I want you to explain.
It's a flaw because after I help somebody off that cliff, they not gonna help me up. That's the bogus. That's the worst part about the loyalty.
See, I got to make you repeat the stuff. Say it again.
After I help somebody off that cliff,
yep,
they might not help me up.
Right.
They might leave me there.
How you feel about that?
I don't know until I'm there and I've been there. That's why I speak on it so passionately.
I have a problem with that. We're gonna come back to that. I got a major problem with that because I'm gonna just come back to that. It's your man, Mr. Dean. You listen to the Man Up Club on Holy Culture Radio, channel 54 on XM Radio. Tap in with us if you want to know more about us. Go to the Man Up Club at themanupclub.org. Coming back with my man DJ in a few seconds. Yo, it's your Man Up Club, Mr. Dean. We hanging in here. I got my man DJ with me. We going deep. I'm showing you, giving you an inside look on how we mentor young men in the Man Up Club. And mentorship is not just always about pouring into the young men. It's about a give and take relationship. As you teach young men and you guide them, if you're a good student, they can also guide and teach you things. So I'm learning some things based on, what he's saying, but we going deeper. We talked about his childhood. We talked about the chemical abuse in regards to him using, marijuana and any others, other substances or what have you. Talked about the relationship with his dad and somewhat of the relationship with his mom. And now we're kind of getting into a little bit deeper the relationship that he has with his peers. And I want to go deep into it because, I want to get to a point where I think that we have to really look at the foundation of things that we've done in the past in order to chart our future forward. But we're talking about influences and basically dealing with peers. And you made this analogy or painted this picture about, you asked me if a person was hanging off a cliff, would I go out there and save them? That's basically what you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I told you I had to assess the situation to see how it would impact me.
Yeah.
You said you would just run out there and just save them
Especially
regardless and
if
not
I
even
love
count the cost.
Yeah.
But you're not counting the cost. And I think that's the problem with a lot of our young black boys when we make decisions, man, is that we don't count the cost, which is a knee-jerk reaction. I don't, and I think that is always going to be short-lived.
Yeah.
from a survival standpoint. If we're going to always base our feelings off of emotion or what somebody's doing to us at that particular time, and we're not going to be forward thinkers to see how that's going to negatively impact us or negatively impact the people we love. And in your case, you got kids now.
Yeah.
So how your decisions are going to negatively impact your kids, or even in the case where you're a leader or a community leader, such as myself, such as you, how it's going to negatively impact your community, or how it's going to negatively impact the people who are following you or the people that you're mentoring. I think that that's a short-lived situation, and that is not sustainable. And I think that's one of the greatest mistakes that we make in urban culture in the inner city is not having the ability to tap in, to think forward about what the consequences are going to be, or to count the cost. And then we're actually in a situation in dealing with the consequence before we recognize what's really going on, and at that point it's too late.
We overburdened by other people's problems.
Why are you overburdened by other people's problems?
Because it's just like the cliff analogy, I wasn't even in trouble. I put myself in trouble to save somebody that might not save me. And I said that. They might not help me up after I help them up. They might just go about their life and leave me hanging. How in the world
can somebody be that important, bruh?
It's not even the importance. It's just like we not really taught that we can't save everybody. In my head, like my dad was a superhero, right? Yep. So like he literally would go down to his last. If my mom called and we didn't have no food and he didn't eat yet, then he wasn't going to eat. He was going to feed us. And it's just like hanging off that cliff where it's like he don't know if my mom is going to cook for him or not, because they not on good terms. But he's going to pull up with groceries to make sure that I eat, and my sisters eat, and my mama eat, and then go back outside and deal with the fact that he just gave up his last.
Let me cut you off. My boy B-boy Dave brought up a good point. He said, okay, a lifeguard. When a person is drowning in water and they're a lifeguard, he's like even lifeguards don't just dive in.
Yeah.
They got to assess the situation first, and they got to assess the risk factor.
Yep.
You feel me? So you can understand that even if you're trained, professionally trained, with all the skills and tools and what have you, that you can't just run out and save people. And the worst thing is that if you go out to save somebody who's drowning and they fight you in the water, ain't neither one of y'all coming back.
Exactly.
And most of the time when you go out there and they acting like that, you're going to have to knock them out and put them to sleep in order to get them back to the shore and get them saved.
Yep. So then you hurt
so
somebody
what's the success
to help somebody?
rate? So what's the success rate of that? This translates over into real life.
And that's where I struggle with my loyalty. That's why I said loyalty is my biggest flaw. Because
case in point, man, you got young cats out there, man, who are carrying guns.
Yep.
Who got a whole lot of level of loyalty to a friend who probably won't even have that same level of loyalty back.
Yep.
To your point, you feel me? They get into a conflict, they get into a beef, right? They come into their boy's rescue, you feel me? They end up having gunplay. Somebody end up getting murdered. Somebody end up going to jail or prison, all right? So now you done killed somebody. Now you done went to prison because you're exercising loyalty.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, the person that you're doing all of this for won't even reciprocate.
Yeah, you more loyal to them than you are yourself. That's
what is that mentality about?
I don't know. That's what look. And you said emotion, and in that instant, emotionally, I'm trying to help you, but it's really a selfish reason deep down. Like I'm helping you to be able to say that I helped you.
Okay.
Like,
to make yourself feel good about yourself?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
100%.
So I mean,
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because you're struggling.
Okay.
Doing it because it's gonna make me feel better about the situation that I'm in. Because on the surface,
I understand, bro. I understand the concept of helping people because when you help others, it makes you feel good about yourself. What I cannot understand is the concept of helping others do something negative or that will have a negative impact on you or a negative impact on their life in order for you to make yourself feel better. It's all about context.
Yeah.
I struggle with the context of it all.
I think we do too.
And I don't understand why we as young black men rush and are in a hurry to try to save. Watch this now. We in a rush to try to save and show our loyalty to each other. But at the same time, we're the ones who's getting murdered primarily by each other.
Yep.
And then we end up in prison.
Yep.
Help me unpack that because it don't make sense to me.
You know the pipeline. This is what we trained to do. It's not. And I told you, I absorbed a lot as a kid. So I watched so many other people do it that now it's just normal for me to try to do it too. I'm going to try to be just like the people that I've been around. It's a natural thing. So now we caught in this cycle where, yes, somebody's on a cliff, somebody's saving them, somebody's falling, somebody's getting up and walking off, and then they go save somebody. Like, it's one of those, it's a cycle.
It's a negative cycle.
Yeah, it don't make sense. It's a cycle to destroy whatever we building. That's what it is. If I go to prison right now, I lose everything that I did for the last 9 years.
But you facing that right now.
Yeah.
That's my point.
5 to 15 years over my head. Yes, sir.
All right. So, okay, you facing 5 to 15 years.
Yep.
Okay. But okay.
Terroristic threat, gun charge. 5 to 15 years of my life, for sure. Top.
Okay. But wait a minute, bro, because you a community leader.
Yes.
You're a CEO of a nonprofit organization.
Yes,
you got
sir.
about 60 young people following you.
Yes, sir.
So if you go to prison, that's worse.
Then I make it okay
That's worse
for other people to go to prison.
Yeah, but and that's worse.
Yep.
I think it's worse, and you can challenge me because you can do that without being a youth leader of so many young people. Because at the end of the day, you're the one that they're believing in, and you're the one that they're following.
If I go jump off a cliff, they jumping with me.
Exactly. Yes. So you actually technically could do more harm than good.
Yep.
I'm gonna let you speak to that.
Circumstance, and we started off like that. Like, if let's say a kid come to you, and he's like, I need your help.
Yes.
I just robbed somebody. I got all this money. I don't know what to do with it. And I'm in a situation. The police looking for me. What are you supposed to do in that instance? Are you supposed to close your door on that person that you already invested in?
Nope. You're not supposed to close. No, you're not supposed to close your door.
I'm supposed to call the cops and turn them in?
It depends.
See, and where I'm from, that's not an option.
It depends.
It's an option, but it's not an option. So
it depends.
And this ain't even loyalty. This is dumb. If you ask me, this is stupid. So if I know that you doing wrong and you bring your wrong to me, I can't tell nobody for real.
Why do you think? Okay, I'm gonna challenge you, and I hear you, and I got it. And it's a tough situation. It's a tough circumstance.
Situation.
But why are they bringing it to you?
Because the same way that they'll jump off the cliff while they following me, they tripping.
It's because they trust you to give them the right information and for you to help them make the right decision,
or to take their problem away. And that's one of the things.
What do you mean when you say take their problem away?
Take their problem on head on. So like, I didn't have no money, right? Okay. So I called somebody and I was like, hey bro, I'm in a situation. I need you to go borrow some money from somebody and give it to me, right? So now I put them in a situation, right, that I was in. I'm good now. So I can either lead them in that situation, I can pay them back. I know that they went and borrowed the money, but I don't want to be in the same situation again where I was broke. So now I'm faced with a survival mode thing, right? Where it's like, I gotta live, I got kids, they ain't got no kids, I ain't eat yet, I've been struggling for 3 days, they just been struggling today. So then it's like, I'm comparing myself and comparing my situation to their situation, and because of that, neither one of us are gonna be, like nobody wins in these situations.
But you're the leader.
Exactly.
You're the mentor.
Yep.
So you know more.
Yep. I know more, and I think we talked about this before. The fear of consequence isn't there. Like, unfortunately, because I've been leading and doing the things that I've been doing, if I go to prison, my worst case scenario is somebody's best case scenario. I go to prison, it probably won't be as bad as if somebody who never been to jail, never did no time, none of that goes to prison. And fortunately, I got to live with it. That's what it comes down to. It don't make sense, but that's what I told you. It's not gonna make sense because it's we programmed to do certain things a certain way.
DJ, but if you know that you program that way, okay, let me back up. Do you think you program the right way?
No. Okay. Absolutely not.
Okay. Now,
it's bull.
If you know that, if you know you're not programmed the right way,
yes,
that's the first step toward knowledge, is to recognize your situation and circumstances. You're an extremely intelligent young man.
Yeah.
So why don't you take steps? Sometimes you got to take 2 steps back in order to take 1 step forward.
And that's
what is preventing you from taking the 2 steps back? Let me define the 2 steps, and we'll get into it in the next segment. Taking the 2 steps back is sacrificing.
Yep.
Being patient.
Yep.
Not and basically like not getting what you want when you want it at that moment, but understanding the long-term game.
Yep.
You feel me? So the question becomes, why are you not? And it also includes that you may have to be broke for a season.
Hell no.
See, that's the problem. Too much value placed on money.
No, it's
Too
not
much
even.
value placed
It's
on
not
money.
even. It's like I said. I go back to my comfort zone, Mr. D. It's not. It's not that I'm struggling with money as much as I don't want to struggle with money ever. So like, it's a tough situation. It's a tough situation. Comfortability. I don't want to give up my comfort.
That ain't comfortability.
I don't know.
What's comfortable about anything that you just described?
I don't know, Mr. D. But that's what I said. Feel good. It feel
right.
normal.
All right,
we
it feel normal.
It feel normal.
Okay, cool.
Let's start there.
No, okay. We going to
another episode. We going into
because that ain't
another hour,
comfortability,
man. We
bro.
not done.
That ain't comfortability. It's your man, Mr. Dean. You listen to the Man Up Club presents on Holy Culture Radio, man. We going with part 2 on this thing because we
not done.
there.
We not done.